Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will welcome Graham.
OK，
好，这是一个广告，是几百粒巧克力做的广告。有的人可能之前见过这个电视广告，但是也有很多人，我相信之前。
In to some of our clients in China, and a lot of people haven't seen it. But what I love about that ad is that it ran in 2007 in the UK, and the campaign is all about joy. Really, one word, Yukwai, joy. And what I like is there's no eating shots, right? There's no people eating the shots. There's no product demonstration shots. There's no swirling chocolate and milk being poured into it. And it was so different. When it came out, that's 90 seconds long. When it came out, everyone was talking about that ad. You know, not just agency people, real people. Right? Real people. And a very interesting thing happened that real people talk about it and clients get to hear about it because the clients, they're just normal people, you know, their mums and dads and things like that, and their kids come home from school and they're talking about this gorilla commercial, and everyone in London, everyone in the UK, in fact, people in America were talking about it. It didn't run in America. People were talking about this ad. And what it did, I believe that ad single-handedly changed the way that clients thought about advertising in the UK. One example is we had let's say a very boring client, a very difficult client, and it was for insurance, and the insurance category is not particularly an exciting category to do work on. And this client relied on a lot of research, months and months of sort of meetings and stuff. When they saw that ad, they completely changed their whole way of thinking. In fact, they called up the advertising agency and they said to the group account director, go and see Graham and tell him to put his youngest, craziest team on our brand and just see what they come up with. And we wrote a very, very different campaign. They didn't research it, they just ran it. And it was tremendously successful. They ran it for 2 to 3 years. That's what it's about, isn't it? It's about doing work that really, really stands out, that people talk about brand building. And so that's what I want to talk about today, work that does stand out, to think different. And I have that name. My name is Graham Fink, and in English that kind of is a bit of a pun on I think and I think. So I always say to people, you know, you've got to think different. So hopefully today, you know, I can inspire you with some advertising that I like, that I think is memorable, it gets talked about. It sells products, but it also helps build a brand. Because I believe that brand building is very important. And as the world changes, the way brands are built is also changing. And not that long ago, TV was perhaps the easiest way to build a brand, but of course it's very expensive. And these days, it's still hugely effective. And in China, TV is still very effective. And so I'm going to show a lot of TV ads today because they're kind of simple to understand. But I'm going to talk a bit about social media because, you know, the rise of social media is changing the way that brands can be built. But coming from the UK, I want to show you work that inspires me. I hope it inspires you, and I hope it challenges you. And a lot of you may not have seen a lot of this work before, so perhaps it can sort of open your eyes and inspire you to do things differently, to look at things differently. So first of all, whatever you do, you need to stand out and be different and get noticed and, of course, be remembered. Or else all that money that you spend on media, you might as well go into the bathroom and put it all down the toilet and flush the chain, right? Don't think they have chains anymore, but you know what I mean. Flush the toilet, because I actually found out that advertising media in mainland China last year, does anyone know how much was spent on advertising media in mainland China last year altogether? No, none of you have a clue, nor did I till I looked it up. $62 billion US. $62 billion US is spent on advertising media last year. It kind of makes you think, well, how much of that can you remember? What kind of stuff stood out? If we're spending that much money and all our ads are really, really effective and engaging, then why is it we can't really remember that stuff? Maybe you can, maybe you have great, great memories, but to me, not very much stuff stands out. And when I say ads, I personally think that social media is advertising, I think digital is advertising, online content, I think everything is advertising. I think when you wake up in the morning and the way you comb your hair and what you wear, that is advertising. You know, if you're going out on a date with a pretty girl, you want to look good, and that's you and your brand. So it's all, to me, it's all advertising. So here's a question. If it's true that more and more brands are coming from overseas into China, and if it's true that more and more local brands are emerging, and I guess that this is true, right? My experience is this is true. Then what's great is that people, back to normal people, ordinary people, are getting a lot more choice, right? And, you know, in China, not that long ago, people only used to have one choice or two choices. Now people are getting choice like they've never had before. But what it does is it puts a lot of pressure onto brands. And that's why I think brand building is perhaps more important now than ever before. But from what I'm seeing, I don't think that it's being taken seriously enough. Because I think that a lot of brand managers, marketing directors, CMOs, you know, the average length of them in a job is like 1 or 2 years. So they're looking at it for themselves. They're looking for the quick fix to look good, get some quick results, and they move on. And then what happens is someone else comes in and they change the process. So often that process starts with picking a different agency, or it's another project. The end line often changes, the strategy changes, and that may be good news for them and they may get their quick results. But what it means for the real people out there is they're confused because the advertising message keeps changing. More and more people are coming to us and saying, my brand doesn't stand for anything, can you help? Well, we can help, but it has to be a commitment on both sides. So, basically, it has a damaging effect on the brand. Okay, if you keep changing the message, it's damaging your brand. Building brands take trust. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that trust and the building brands today. And as it is the food and beverage conference, I thought it would be really appropriate to talk about cars. That's British humour for you, irony. Because there's one car brand out there that's been talking about the same thing for 50 years. Okay? They have been consistent in their tone of voice, and they have said the same message in many different countries, in different cultures, in different languages. And the creative work is fantastic, and it's actually some of the best creative work in the world, consistent, over 50 years. So what is that brand? VW. This is a first VW ad. I mean, we're talking in the 60s, right? This is Mad Men era. In America, just imagine this, all the cars are huge. Every car was really, really big, spacious, luxurious. And along comes Volkswagen with this tiny little ugly car called the Beetle, affectionately known as the Bug. And this ad ran with Think Small. So they just flew against what everyone else is doing. So this is a brand that is thinking different. They found a great USP about this brand, that it's reliable, okay? And they just went on about it being reliable. And if you look at any Volkswagen ad, the core message in Volkswagen over the years is about reliability. I could show you hundreds of great Volkswagen ads over the years. In fact, I could do a whole talk on Volkswagen ads. It could last 2 hours, and I promise you wouldn't get bored because every ad is great. But I'm just going to show you some. This first one is, it was a TV commercial that ran. Actually, it's in 1964. Have a look at this. We just dim the lights, please. Very old, so apologies about the quality. Dim the lights.
Have you ever wondered how the man who drives a snowplow drives to the snowplow? This one drives a Volkswagen. So you can stop wondering.
What I love about that is it still stands the test of time. It's incredibly simple. I love the product shot. The product shot is a car covered in snow. When I first came to China, we've got these TVs in the lift, and every morning I come in, and as we go up and down the lift, you can watch all these commercials. And I see all these car commercials, and they all look exactly the same. Most of them are shot at night, because cars look good at night. All the buildings are beautifully reflected in the car. You see a very successful businessman get in the car. There's normally a shot of his cufflinks. You get a panning shot across the top of the dashboard to see the leather or the leather interior. There's always a shot where he goes through a puddle and the water splashes up, because that looks good. And right at the end of the commercial, he pulls up to his destination, and a very attractive girl, half his age, a quarter of his age, comes to meet him. And then they just put a logo at the end. Now, you could swap all these logos over. You couldn't put any other logo on that ad. The car doesn't even look great. It's just covered in snow. But what a fantastic message. You know, how does the guy who drives the snowplow get to the snowplow? That says everything about that the car is tough, it's reliable, it stands, the test of freezing cold temperatures. You don't see a great looking actor, you don't see his cufflinks, you don't see the inside of the car, but that car sold so well in America. And this is selling a German car to Jewish people. I love this one. This was a print ad they did. It's called Lemon. In the US, a lemon means it's a dud, it's a reject, it's no good. How brave is that to put your car there and basically underneath say it's no good? But it makes you read the copy. And if you read the copy, it will say in the glove compartment, the chrome strip on the glove compartment is blemished and must be replaced. It says chances are you won't have noticed it, but their inspector did notice it. That makes you feel good about the car, right? They've got people looking at, great people building this car, building this brand. Lights.
This is the man who put 1 million on black, and it came up red. This is the man who married a sex kitten, just as she turned into a cat. This is the man who moved into gold, just as the clever money moved out. This is the man who drives a Volkswagen. Everyone must have something in life he can rely on.
Here's another one. Keep the lights down. Right. Hang on. Stuck.
Tutte le ore, sempre, ma sempre, guarda. Vediamo qua, vediamo qua. Ecco qua.
Great storytelling, right? Just beautiful script writing. Nothing else to say, really. Just a tiny little thing there, and they make a big film out of it. Okay, next. Lights.
Pray that your sins are forgiven. You, are you ready for the judgment day? You, is your life decent? Is your life pure? I don't believe this. I do not believe this. All right, guys. All right.
Them that Scott shall have, them that not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own.
Once you've got a message, just keep plugging away at it, and even if you change end lines, keep that message. Everyone knows that Volkswagen are reliable cars, and it's true. These days, I think with social media, you really need to pick a product truth, because if you pick something that isn't true, you're going to get found out, and these days, literally in a matter of hours. So in the modern era of new media and social media, you're still building this brand, but you know, keep that truth. Keep that truth. It doesn't matter what the channel is. Stick to the truth. Okay, next one. Next one up is, as we are at the Food and Beverage Conference, Coca-Cola. I want to talk about Coca-Cola. This has been around for years too. Soft drinks company, they have a word which is optimism, okay? And all of their stuff, it's optimism, and it's very simple. And I, you know, giving away my age here, but when I was very young, I remember seeing this on the TV. Lights.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony, perfect harmony. I like to buy the world a home and keep it company. That's the real thing. I like to teach the world to sing. In perfect harmony, and I'd like to buy the world a coat and keep it company. It's the real thing. What the world wants today. It's the real thing. What the world wants today. It's the real thing.
You know, that ad was made in 1971, and the only thing that's really dated is like the clothes they're wearing, right? Maybe the hairstyles. But, you know, you could remake that commercial with the same idea, and you could run it today. That's fantastic. 1971. And in fact, I think that's one of the best ads Coke have ever made. And you know what? The Coca-Cola company, because I know people there at the Coca-Cola company, they always think that that is one of the best ads that they've ever made. And for years, they always talk about, we want a new hilltop. Where's the new hilltop? Okay, next one up, jumping forward a few years, but still on brand. Maybe you should click it.
I'd like to.
Next one. There should be one before that. Yeah. I just love that, right? How long is that? 90 seconds, maybe? And I remember when that came out, everyone loved it. The craft, the love and care that went into that filmmaking. I have no idea how long that took to make. But isn't it just beautiful to watch? You just want to watch it again and again. Okay, the next one. What's interesting, it has all the brand values in all the nice blue skies and all the rest of it. You have a look at this next one.
Give a little love, and it all comes back to you. You're gonna be remembered for the things that you say and do. You give a little love, and it all comes back to you. You're gonna be remembered for the things that you say and do. You give a little love and it all comes back to you.
And I love the idea they started off quite negative on this. You know, I hear a lot about negativity doing creative work in China. Oh, that's too negative. Or it blew out in link testing because people thought it was too negative. This starts off really negative. It's in a very rundown city. You know, the sky is very grey. There's kind of smoke and clouds. And actually it gets good at the end, but you have to stick with it. And what I liked about this is when they did it, they really tapped into the zeitgeist of people playing video games. So they were bang on what was right, what people were interested in. Very smart, just very, very clever. But again, it's optimism. They're saying the same thing. Okay. This next one. I'm not a big fan of advertising research. You probably guess that most creative people aren't. We watch our babies die in research and link tests. It's not that I'm actually against research. I'm not. It's just, to me, it's the way that it's researched. And I'm not just talking about here in China, but I think a lot of countries around the world, the way that it's researched is not true to real life. People don't say what they really think, and they don't think what they really think in those conventional groups. It's my personal opinion. But I think there's a much better way of doing it. And I think in the future, there will be. Maybe we'll tap into people's brains and be able to find out what they really, really think. But this came out of research, and actually this is really, really good because they took all these research figures. So something good does come out of research. See, it's Coke, it's optimism. Let's have a look at this one. Lights. These ads I'm showing are really great, and I wish I'd done all of them, actually. The next one I did have a hand in, and it is something we did here with the help of a 19-year-old student I found, and we worked together on this poster. It ran exactly like this. There's no QR code, there's no web address, there's no headline or body copy, there's nothing. It's just simply taking what everyone knows is the Coke ribbon, and it turns it into two hands sharing a Coke. Optimism, friendship. This ad has now gone on to, actually this ad won us Ogilvy the first ever Grand Prix at Cannes in Asia, and it's now gone on to become the most awarded Coca-Cola ad in their long history. So I'm very proud about that. But what's really interesting about this is, although it only ran as a poster, when it came out, so many people took photographs of it on their phones and spread it. So it turned into a massive piece of social media. It was like a social media campaign. And what I love about posters is they have to be simple. You know, if you put all that stuff on there, it's going to make it less effective. Now, clients, account people, planners, maybe, they love cluttering stuff up. I'm being gently provocative here, of course. But, you know, as a creative director, I'm always trying to get rid of things. You know, be simple, take everything off. You know, what you should put out there is something that is beautiful, it's engaging. Because every time we do a piece of work, it goes into culture. You know, whether you do a good piece of work, a bad piece of work, or whatever piece of work, it doesn't matter if it's a poster, a TV commercial, an online film, whatever it is, it goes out into Chinese culture. And I often say to people, what are we doing to our culture? Are we making it better? Or are we making it worse? Do people really want to see another boring TV commercial or look at another really dull microsite? Do they really have to wade through all these kind of facts and figures and data that clients think is really, really important, but most people out there don't give a shit about? People aren't interested in what we do. People aren't interested in advertising. They're interested in picking their kid up from school, or what they're going to have for dinner, or they must get to the shops late, or they're worried about their next meeting. You know, so what we do has to stop them, has to be different, has to stand out. So the point here, interesting, is that this went social, right? And so what I think is, my clicker doesn't work. The best social media isn't social media. You know, we spend a lot of time doing social media campaigns. Actually, a lot of people just put, oh, let's just put the key visual on WeChat or Weibo and that'll do. But you've got so much more opportunity than that. Really, really great ads become part of social media because people talk about them. This is something that we did here also in Shanghai. We called it the friendship experiment. It's part of Coke, and it's a very interesting idea. Have a look at this. Lights. You know, so we started off in 1971 with a hilltop, and we're still doing the same message now. It's bringing people together. It's optimism, friendship, happiness, the same message. Now, sure, these are big, big brands I'm showing you, and maybe, you know, you're in charge of a brand that isn't up there yet, but this is how they do it. You know, they stick to the same message. This next one's interesting. This is a map that they did. It's an online digital map, and then this piece of film, hopefully it will move. So it looks like it's a giant painting or whatever. And what happens online is, as you move in, they got people to send in photographs of themselves. And if you look really, really closely as it moves in, this is all online. I don't know how many people sent their pictures in, but millions, right? And there is everyone. And you click on it, and then your name comes up, and it's a link to the films. And this ran during the World Cup in Brazil. Just a very simple message. If you uploaded your picture, you want to go on there, wouldn't you, and have a look. Okay, and finally on Coke, one of my favorite films. I wish I did this one. Okay, that's it for Coke. I want to talk about this. In the UK, there was a fantastic campaign ran for Stella Artois. Stella, of course, is a beer from Belgium, and it's made from very expensive hops, and the process is, you know, very long and arduous, and the beer at the end, great beer, but it's incredibly expensive. Now, I think most advertising agencies and planners and whatever would get together and they would talk about the process, they would talk about the hops, they would talk about the environment it grows in. But what I like about this campaign, well, I think it's brilliantly creative, is they went straight for the product truth. It is expensive, so let's just say it's expensive, right? And let's not talk about the hops, let's not talk about the process, let's just say it is expensive, but do it in a highly creative way so people really enjoy it and you watch it, and I think you just want to be part of this world. So I'm going to show you some of these commercials. Also, what's interesting is that these commercials are quite long, and no one else was doing long commercials at the time. Everyone else was doing 30 seconds, maybe 60s. These are long. I think they're like 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Anyway, let's have a look.
Fais-moi penser à acheter les tomates.
Oui, mais t'inquiète pas, mémé, j'y ai pensé, moi.
Oh, jolies chaussures, faites par des anges.
pénible.
Merci. Grand-mère, donne-moi tes chaussures.
Quoi? Allez. Oh, mon petit.
I'll go straight on to the next one. Keep the lights down.
Papa, désirez-vous quelque chose, papa?
Une fleur.
Voulez-vous autre chose? Encore quelque chose, papa?
Stellaire, toi.
Une stellare, toi?
S'il vous plaît.
S'il vous plaît, Monsieur Dubois est ici? Laissez-moi vous aider, mon père. Merci. Par ici? Oui, oui.
Keep the lights down. I'll go on to the next one.
C'est un Anglais.
Réveillez-vous.
Les Allemands arrivent! Vite! Cachez-le! Allez! Les gars, soyez naturels, soyez naturels. Merde! Allez, amigo! Où est ça?
En bas.
Isso.
Okay, and one more. Keep the lights down. Lovely stuff, right? Beautiful film craft, great storytelling, and very premium brand, of course, but they do the premiumness not through shouting it out at you in the process, but they just do it through using the best directors, fantastic film craft, great writing, and the line is always reassuringly expensive. Okay. Xiaomi. I want to talk a little bit about Xiaomi because it's a very interesting brand. It's a brand that's building itself using a lot of social media. But what's interesting, it's not just social media content they're making, but they're getting the consumers through social media to help them build better products. And I think that's really interesting. So together, they are building the brand. And this is what, this is product-led brand building. Everyone wants to be part of something, but if you're helping to build a product, surely you're going to want it when it's built. So, sorry, I forget to click the slide. Yeah, that's it. This is product-led brand building. So what's interesting is that consumers aren't just making the product, but they're influencing it. They're not just using the product, but they are influencing it and making a contribution to it. And then there's another layer of brand building, and that is providing services that add value to a product, or more services added to an existing service. And they don't just build social network partnerships with people, they're building social network partnerships with Weibo and WeChat, QQ. So that's why I wanted to highlight Xiaomi today, because it's a brand that uses social media beyond just putting that key visual up onto WeChat. And no wonder this is a brand that's building itself so fast. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you, simply because this is one of my favorite commercials of all time, and it's a great brand, which is Guinness. And what I love about this, again, it's a 90-second commercial. But when this came out, a bit like the Cadbury's Gorilla commercial, everyone was talking about it. The sound, I often talk about the use of sound in an ad on an online film or a commercial. What I like about this is not so much the use of sound, but where they don't use sound. It's really, really interesting. Also, I think if this was made here, the lead guy would be a very good-looking guy. And this guy depends on your taste in men, I suppose, but his eyes aren't particularly aligned. So he's perhaps not the hero. There's no beautiful blue skies because it's shot in black and white, because of course Guinness is black and white, and so it's using the filmic values, the look and feel values, to also build the brand. And it's gritty and it's tough and it's about real men. And I really want to point out the pack shot. When you see the pack shot at the end, most brands just have a pack shot. This is just like a little move with the camera onto the pack shot, out of the pack shot. It's just a tiny little touch. But it just means to me that love and care and attention have gone into this. I know the guys who made it. I know the film director who made it. He's a friend of mine, Jonathan Glazer. It did cost a lot of money. It took months of shooting, and there's a lot of post-production. But all there was just love and care that went into this. So have a look.
He waits. That's what he does. And I'll tell you what, tick followed tock, followed tick, followed tock, followed tick. Ahab says, I don't care who you are, here's to your dream. The old sailors returned to the bar. Here's to you, Ahab! And the fat drummer hit the beat with all his heart. Here's to waiting.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for me. Just to say that, a bit like the Cadbury's Gorilla commercial I showed you at the beginning, when that came out, everyone talked about it because it was so different. And also, I think like the Cadbury's Gorilla, there's a great relationship between the client and the agency. You know, they're treated like a partnership. It's not like some kind of service provider. That's where you get the best work from. I like working very closely with clients. I like sitting around a table talking about the brand truth and doing work that stands out. In other words, think different. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. 大家有什么问题要问 Graham 吗？
Do you have any questions for Graham?
Do you have any other questions?